Mr. John Clark. How you doing today, John?
I'm doing good. Proud to be in the Ricky room over here.
Yes, indeed, on the Comcast Business Hotline in the Ricky room. John, let's start off with the Phillies this weekend. We know it was just an April series, but fans are notably more positive now. How important was it, not so much for the team, because they seemed confident, but for maybe the psyche of the city for the Phillies to look good this weekend?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, when you're the Phillies and you are playing against arguably the best, the team with the biggest payroll, the World Series champs, you're going to get up for it. And you could tell, especially like Jesus Luzardo. I mean, look how hyped he was for this series to pitch against the Dodgers. And the job they did on Shohei Ohtani was fantastic. So it's a great sign. And there's been plenty of Aprils, or it's March now, but they start in March. So there have been plenty of slow starts from some of those great Phillies teams of the Charlie Manuel era. So for them to get off to a really, really good start here and make a little bit of a statement against the Dodgers, it's a great sign.
And they are off to a good start. And an interesting thing in yesterday's game, they walked 11 times. I just want to get your take on the big baby, Tyler Glasnow, and what you thought about his little baby act on the mound.
I mean, we were sitting up in the press box, and you could tell he was unraveling. You talk about the elements getting to him with his cleats, trying to get the mud out of his cleats the whole time, getting a grip on the ball. You could just tell body language-wise, the whole thing was in his head. And I was even asking people in the press box, Ricky, what are the rules about if you wanted some more dirt added to that mound if you're not getting the footing you want? I guess at any time, could you request they bring dirt out?
You could ask whenever you want.
Yeah, so to me...
I don't think that was the real problem.
What do you think was the real problem?
I think it was just because it was raining. He was a baby. He didn't want to pitch in the rain.
Yeah, it got in his head. I mean, you just saw him completely unravel. Wild pitches, walks. It was really amazing.
It was kind of nice to see, though, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. So I mean, the elements got to him. I mean, I think if you're talking playoffs back at Citizens Bank Park with the Dodgers, maybe try to mess with the elements a little bit, soften some things up out there. Make it a little wetter out there when he gets out there to the mound. I'm sure the fans will let him have it, too. So it was a meltdown. It's great to see.
It was. Now, there's some fans who are focusing on some of the negatives. They don't like Bohm with the 4 at-bats, 5 pitches. They're looking at Marsh and things like that. What do you say to fans that are, even though the team's winning, are starting to focus on some of the things that aren't going so well so far this season?
Well, out of all the things that you just mentioned, the thing that I would be most concerned about is Jordan Romano. And it's Romano. It's not Romano, according to him, because he's from Canada.
They're so weird. Like Jerome with the J-A. It's weird up there.
Yeah, well, hey.
With no P.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, right now it's a big concern because his velocity's down. And he said he's used to throwing 96, getting up there. But, when you're throwing 93 and then the slider is not going to be as effective. So to me, that's a big concern because he's a big addition. And then you have to wonder why the Blue Jays allowed him to walk, allowed him to go. So that would be a big concern because I remember the start of spring training or when they signed him, like, hey, this guy could possibly close games. So they got to get him right. They got to figure out what's going on. He's going to watch his film and look at the mechanics. So to me, that would be a concern. I'm not concerned about the starting pitching in any way. I'm not concerned about Aaron Nola. Guys here and there are going to have bad at-bats. And I think overall as a team, their chase rate is down big time. They're not striking out as much. They're walking a lot. They're one of the leaders in walks in the National League. So I think for the most part, they're putting together good at-bats. And you faced good pitching against the Dodgers. So, I think the most concerning thing to me would be the whole setup of the bullpen going forward.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I got to ask you, what is your take on Bryce Harper so far this year?
Well, I mean, he doesn't look good hitting lefties right now. That's been really tough.
Bailing.
Yeah, but look, if we're concerned about Bryce Harper, then we got big problems in Philly. I think he's going to be okay. And I think you have to solidify who's protecting him, who's behind him. Even though Max Kepler walked a couple times and then scored off of those walks, you got to have somebody protecting Bryce Harper. So You got to make sure. I mean, wouldn't that be the key to your lineup, Ricky? Making sure that you have somebody that can protect Bryce Harper?
Yeah, I be honest with you, I think they think that Alec Boehm is that guy.
And he hopefully will be. He hopefully will be.
When you're swinging at the first pitch, does that really help anything?
No. And it's interesting because you're seeing guys, for the most part, have good at-bats. And I was talking to Nick Castellanos about it yesterday, and Nick said something really interesting because I asked him about the plate discipline and how well they are basically seeing pitches and staying off some stuff. And Nick says, look, we've got a lot of personalities on this team, and we want to go up there and we get excited to hit. We want to hit. And he says sometimes it's not the spot to, quote, unquote, hit. You know, you take pitches. If you have you get a walk, okay, you get a walk. And that was interesting to me because this is kind of a free-swinging club, and they want to hit. They can hit the home run. So I think hopefully there's a little maturity there and growth with the guys saying, okay, you know what? It's okay to walk. It's okay to take our base, and we can play some small ball. We've seen the Phillies play a little small ball this weekend in spots. So I think for the most part it's good. Hopefully that rubs off on Alec Boehm and a couple of the other guys. But I think for the most part the at-bats have been good.
We're speaking with John Clark, does a tremendous job, NBC 10, NBC Sports, Philadelphia, Takeoff Podcast. Speaking of maturity, one thing Ricky and I have been talking about is after wins so far this year, very different. Not that they're not happy, but the water, the sunflower seeds, the candy, all that's gone, and they're a lot more matter of fact about victories so far this year. One, do you think that was intentional? And two, do you like the new, I don't know, you brought up maturity, maybe a more mature approach after victory so far this season?
You know, that's very interesting because we all know what happened with the Eagles, and we saw those clips of Jalen Hurts when he said losing that Super Bowl 2 years ago, it changed his soul, and it was a screensaver on his phone, and you just saw he was on a mission. He was on a mission after that Super Bowl. Now, of course, last year happened, but he pushed the team with that mission. So, to me, I was asking a couple people about this, and they would describe the Phillies, their mentality, as very businesslike. They are very businesslike this year. And I think after going through what they went through last year with the Mets just rolling right through them, you had an incredible regular season, and then you go out so early in the playoffs like they did. They didn't have the momentum. They didn't have the vibe. The Mets had all that. I get very, very business-like vibes this year. And there you go. You talk about the daycare. Maybe the daycare has actually been retired a little bit. So I sense this team is also on a mission. And maybe it's a little bit of a quiet mission, but they want to get it done this year. I'm sure they realize a couple guys are getting up there in age. JT, Kyle, they're not under contract after this year. Rangers, Suarez isn't. And will he have a spot in the rotation after this year? So I think this team is on a mission, and I think they're very, very businesslike. And I agree. You know, you don't see the daycare celebrations, and this team is acting like they belong where they're supposed to be, and that is beating the Dodgers and being one of the best teams in the National League to go to the World Series. So, yeah, that's a good read on it, and businesslike is what I get from people around the team.
Well, John, we really appreciate you coming on with us. I know you've got a busy man. You're running around. Appreciate the time, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it. It's going to be a fun season.
Yes, sir.
See you guys.
Yes, sir. That was John Clark on the Comcast Business Hotline. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And, you know, you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.